Hey, college football fans. Structural upheaval begins August 24th in college football. Only 84 days until college football begins for the 2024 season. The new and improved college football era, well, at least new, whether it's improved or not, will definitely be up for debate. First kickoff, August 24th, week 0. More on the matchups later. But first, the thing to know is that EA Sports College Football 25 video game will be released on July 19th for the first time in 11 years, early access 3 days prior. It only runs on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS. It's getting a lot of good reviews from the elite few who have been allowed to play it. I've noticed that there's no NCAA logo on the cover, as it was on past versions. The upheaval, I call it the transition era. Even though it's a transition that may be short, it is nonetheless an era because it is structurally different, and what you see will be very different. Conference realignment, the moves as of July 1st. Oklahoma and Texas moved to the SEC. USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon moved to the Big Ten. Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah moved to the Big 12. Stanford and Cal move all the way over to the Atlantic coast. And SMU comes up from the G5. The Big 12 now has 16 teams. The Big 10, 18. SEC, 16 teams. ACC, 17 teams. The Pac leftovers, Oregon State and Washington, have yet to find a conference. The Pac-12 is essentially dissolved, leaving 4 power conferences and not 5. Technically, the Pac still exists, but does not have the NCAA minimum number of 8 schools to have a conference champion. There is a 2-year grace period to add more teams, but very unlikely to be a power conference ever again. That's 67 Power 4 conference teams plus Notre Dame. The Irish are still independent. They do play 5 ACC teams this season, but are not eligible for the ACC Conference Championship. What this means to you. Your perception of the team rankings requires adjustment. You will need to understand and accept that a one-loss SEC or Big Ten team being ranked over an undefeated Big 12 or ACC team is legitimate. This is because the schedule of the SEC and Big Ten are a whole lot tougher than before. 24/7 Sports on May 11th ranked the top 15 toughest schedules. 9 of those are SEC teams, 4 in the Big Ten and 2 representing the ACC, none from the Big 12. 6 of these teams are playoff contenders, being in Joel Klatt's top 25. Of those contenders, the Sooners have the toughest road to the playoff. Speaking of playoffs, playoff expansion. The playoffs now include 12 teams. 134 teams are eligible to be invited to the FBS playoff. Kennesaw State moved up from the FCS this season. Organized and selected as follows. Note, it is not simply a matter of being ranked in the top 12. The 5 highest-ranked conference champions will receive automatic bids. That's 5 slots taken. The top-ranked 4 of those 5 conference champions will be seeded 1 through 4 based on their ranking and get a first-round bye. The 5th conference champion, I'll call the dog champ, will be placed according to how they rank in relation to the next 7 highest-ranked teams remaining. Those other 7 slots will be filled by the 7 highest-ranked teams not already in. And the 5th highest conference champ, the dog champ, takes a slot somewhere from 5 to 12. Yes, the lowest of the 5 top conference champions does not necessarily get the 5th seed. It depends on how their ranking falls within the 7 cadre coming in. Here's an example. The ACC, Big 12, Big 10, and SEC champs are ranked 1 through 4 respectively. Sun Belt champ is ranked 9th. And let's say all the other conference champions are ranked outside of the top 12. Seeds 1 through 4 are filled by those Power 4 champs, and the Sun Belt champ gets seed number 9. The next ranked teams fill in the 7 open slots. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Nice and neat, the top 12 teams go to the playoffs. Here's the incongruities. Last season, without the Pac-12 championship, it would have looked like this, assuming Washington was not a conference champion. The top 5 conference champs, Michigan, Texas, Alabama, Florida State, and Liberty, get the auto bids. The first 4 getting a bye in the first round. The next 7 ranked teams fill in the seeds, with all of them ranked above Liberty at 23, go into slots 5 through 11, and Liberty gets the 12th seed. Oklahoma, ranked at number 12, is left out of the playoff because Group of 5 conference champion 23rd ranked Liberty bumps out the Sooners. The playoff committee does this in order to avoid an antitrust lawsuit from the G5 schools. So if you're a Power 4 team, you need to be ranked in the top 11 to ensure you get in, because in most years a G5 school will take the 12th spot. Occasionally a G5 might be ranked in the top 12, then a 12th ranking will get you in, like in 2021 when the G5 Cincinnati was ranked 4th. In a tight parity conference like the Big 12, where 5 or 6 teams have a legit shot at making the conference championship, we could have a 2-loss and a 3-loss team in the championship game ranked, say, 9 and 10. The 3-loss team wins the championship and gets the auto bid with the playoff bye week. And the previously higher ranked team with the fewer losses then gets pushed out of the playoffs completely, ending the season with a 12th spot ranking, or maybe a 13th. For the 2022 season, TCU still would have been in the playoff, but they would not got that first week bye. The Notre Dame factor, because the Irish don't play a conference championship game as they are an independent, they get 3 weeks to prepare for the playoffs. Notre Dame's last regular season game will be on November 30th. Conference championship games are in the week of December 7th. December 14th is a bye week for all. Playoffs first round begins December 20th, 21st. So they get 21 days to prepare. Also, any Power 4 team ranked in the top 11 but not in their conference championship game, which there will be 3 teams every year. You got 11 spots minus the 8 teams in the conference championship game. That means 3 are going to be out. Those 3 will also get 3 weeks to prepare for the start of the playoffs. And if you do go to the conference championship game and you lose, then you only get 2 weeks to prepare. And teams seeded 5 through 8 each get to host the first round playoff game at their home field on campus or choose a stadium. This means conference champions will not get a home playoff game. Being seeded 8th instead of 9th is a huge deal now. It determines whether you play at home or on the road in your first round of the playoff. But before we get to the playoffs, we've got a lot of weeks of really great football because of the new schedules. We got great matchups almost every week, multiple matchups. Here's a list of some of the ones I'm looking forward to. I'm sure there's going to be some I left off, and there's going to be more that I'm going to be interested in later in the fall than I'm interested in now because of the way teams play. But boy, look at these games. We have not seen a schedule of top teams like this ever in college football. And look at these conference championships. And week 16, nothing except the Army-Navy game. Week 17, nothing happens. Then the playoffs begin. We got some irrelevant bowls in the playoffs, quarterfinals, semifinals, national championship on January 20th. New rules for this year. 2-minute warnings are going to be added to the games in the second and fourth quarters. These extra timeouts will change the results of some close games. Which ones, we'll never know for sure. Radios and helmets are finally going to be used. One offensive player and one defensive player on the field will have direct communication with the coaches. It'll be turned off 15 seconds remaining on the clock or when the ball is snapped, whichever comes first. What happens when they put 2 quarterbacks on the field? I don't know. For horse collar tackles in the tackle box. Previously, a horse collar tackle within the tackle box was not a foul. I didn't know, and neither did you. Head coaches will now be allowed to do interviews after the first and third quarters. I don't know why they would. Thank you for watching and listening to this, and like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications when I upload new videos, and enjoy this structural upheaval. Woo! College football.